Hello and welcome to the Nourish and Strengthen podcast. This is episode 33 and actually my first episode that I'm recording in 2024. Oh my gosh, it's crazy how time flies. I can't believe that by the time this episode airs, it's going to be, gosh, what's the date? It's going to be halfway through January. Oh man, time just flies. So today I'm talking about, you guys, a really good topic. And it is the top 5 mistakes I see women over 40 making when they're trying to lose weight. Okay. This is so important because so often I see and talk to women that think they're doing everything right. They think they're doing all the right things. But to be honest, they're just not. In fact, they're doing a lot of the wrong things. And some of those wrong things are actually keeping them from reaching their goals. Yes. So maybe you're doing the things that worked in your 20s and your 30s. Those things might literally be keeping you from reaching your goals and keeping you from losing weight now that you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, getting close to menopause. Maybe you're into perimenopause. Those things are not what you should be doing anymore. So I'm going to talk you through those things, okay? Super good topic. If you did hear me talk on a Facebook Live, I mentioned a couple of these, but I've got more of them here in this episode, okay? But first, I wanted to tell you guys about the cruise we just went on. I just want to take a few minutes. I've had a lot of questions on social media, and quite honestly, I absolutely loved this vacation. So I'm super excited to just give you a rundown and give you some recommendations on if you're looking to book a cruise for your family, if you're going to these ports, things like that. So really quick, it was amazing. We were gone for really 9 days, if you count all the travel days. It was a Sunday to Sunday cruise. We left on Saturday. We sailed out of Galveston, Texas. I'd never done that before. It was a brand new pier terminal. It was so nice. We were on the Harmony of the Seas, which is Royal Caribbean, and it is the second biggest class of ships. I love cruising on big ships because they're just kind of fascinating to me. I think it's so cool to, see all the different things they can put on a ship and have it still float. So I think they're super awesome. So we stayed the night at a hotel by the airport in Houston, and then took an Uber to the port on Sunday morning. If you're doing this, you guys, for a family of 5, the Uber was way cheaper than a shuttle through Royal Caribbean or even a private shuttle. I priced out so many different things. The shuttles were about $50 like 75 bucks per person one way. And an Uber, we paid about $150 to $160 one way. So it was almost half the price. So just keep that in mind. The ship was incredible. There were so many different areas to just kind of see and chill and hang out. There was this carnival area that was so cute for kids. It had a carousel and just fun little areas for kids to play. It had a rock wall, a flow rider, mini golf, pickleball courts. It had this fun slide, tons of water, or a couple water slides, splash pads. It had this really fun slide that actually went from deck 16 down to deck 6. So really far, and it wasn't a water slide. I thought it was a water slide before we got on, but you actually sit in a little gunny sack. Is that the word? Gunny sack type of thing. It looked kind of scary, but it wasn't really scary. It wasn't scary. So it was super fun. There was, this like Central Park area that was kind of like gardeny. We had a balcony, an interior balcony. So we had a balcony, but it did not look out over the ocean. It looked out over like the inner, I don't know what you want to call it, open air part of the ship. So our balcony was over the Central Park area, the gardeny area. And at night they played fake cricket sounds, and it was so peaceful and heavenly. And there was live music, so much fun. There was a great gym, which we used, Brandon, Caleb, and Brindley, we used that multiple times throughout the week. Big deal here. If you've been on a cruise and tried to use the track before, you understand. The track was down on deck 5, so it was in the shade. It was so nice. It was like, first of all, I'm not a big runner. You guys know that, but it was fun to run at sea level out on the ocean in the shade with the wind. It was super fun. Usually the track is up on like the pool deck out in the sun, and it's so hot and there's lawn chairs everywhere and it's just kind of a pain. So this track was down below, which was super fun. Food was great. The shows were awesome. There was this aqua show that was incredible. It was a combination of like synchronized swimmers and slackline people and dancers and divers. It was absolutely insane. We went to Roatan and we went to Costa Maya and we went to Cozumel. I made a big boo-boo and I accidentally booked 2 excursions for Cozumel and none for Costa Maya. So I had to scramble the night before we went to Costa Maya. The biggest one I want to talk about was Roatan. We had so much fun. We used a company called Roatan Henry. Highly recommend them. Kislin was our tour guide. He was amazing. We got to ride ATVs through these cute little villages and saw the kids. The kids would run up to your ATVs and give high fives. They were so cute. Beautiful, of course, gorgeous scenery. We got to hug sloths, which was one of my favorite things ever, and go ziplining. All those things in one like 5-hour excursion. He was going to take us to the beach too, but we didn't have time. So hands down, best excursion ever. Highly recommend them. So anyway, just wanted to give you that quick rundown. It was so much fun for our family to just be together and have a great time. And yeah, it was an absolute blast. So, moving on to our topic for today, and it is 5 mistakes women make over 40 when they're trying to lose weight. So, these are in no particular order, okay? So, we'll listen to all 5 of them. And actually, number 4 or 5, I can't remember. You're going to want to make sure you listen to that one. So, listen to all these guys. Number 1, not getting enough protein. You might be like, oh my gosh, can you fitness professionals stop it with the protein already? And I understand why you might think that because we do talk about it a lot, but it is so, so important, you guys. Protein is made up of amino acids, which are the building blocks of our muscle tissue. And even if you don't want to be a bodybuilder, okay, I don't want to be a bodybuilder anymore either. So even if that's not your goal, getting enough protein is crucial, you guys. Getting enough protein helps with longevity, helps with aging, it helps with bone density, it helps with strength as you age. So all these things that don't even have anything to do with your aesthetic goals, it's so important having muscle, okay? But then if you have weight loss goals, it's even more important. So if you're in a calorie deficit and you're not getting enough protein, you're not really optimizing the results that you could be seeing from the calorie deficit, okay? So protein is essential in maintaining your lean body mass when you're in that calorie deficit. And so it's crucial that you get enough protein, okay? Protein also has the highest thermic effect of food. So what does that mean? That means that your body burns more calories digesting protein compared to fats and carbs, okay? It's also the most satiating macronutrient. So even if you don't really like it, it is gonna keep you full longer than just having carbs or fats, okay? So you might be thinking, okay, how much protein do I need? Great question. My views on this have changed over the years. I used to be a big 1 gram per pound advocate, but I've kind of changed that a little bit. There's a lot more research that's coming out saying that you don't really need quite that much protein to maintain lean body mass, okay? If you're trying to build muscle, yes, you might need a little bit more. But for maintaining in a deficit, 0.8 to 0.9 grams per pound are enough to initiate muscle protein synthesis, okay? So what you'll do is you'll take 0.8 to 0.9 and you'll multiply that by your current body weight, not your goal body weight, your current body weight, okay? So we found in Moxie that that's enough protein, like I said, to give you those positive changes, initiate that muscle protein synthesis, but not so much that it really affects your digestion. Sometimes when you increase protein, you can get a little bit constipated, you can just feel kind of yucky, it just cannot be enjoyable because as women, a lot of us just tend to not enjoy eating tons of meat. Okay, that's a general statement, but it's kind of applies for most women. So 0.8 to 0.9 grams is kind of that sweet spot where it's enough, but not too much that you have any negative side effects, right? If you're trying to hit that and you're struggling, I would highly recommend breaking that up across your meals. Okay, you don't really want boluses of protein at a couple times a day. You'd rather have it in smaller increments. So if you're having, let's say your goal is 125 and you eat 5 meals a day, you might want 25 grams of protein in each meal. Okay, so just split that up evenly throughout your day. It's going to be easiest to hit, and it's also going to be ideal for initiating that muscle protein synthesis throughout the day. Okay, so not getting enough protein is one of the biggest mistakes I see women make. Okay, the next one, and you might not want to hear this one, but the next mistake that women over 40 are making to keep them from reaching their goals is mixing up your workouts too often. Okay, if you are doing a random class or a random video each day with no consistency in your programming, guys, you are literally robbing yourself of results, okay? You're putting in the time, you're showing up, right? But you're not doing the right thing, so you're not seeing the best results you could be seeing, okay? So when I say you're not being consistent, I don't mean that you're not exercising regularly, okay? You might be showing up like I mentioned, but you're not being consistent in the same programming. So you're not really progressing with the program. You're not seeing the optimal changes to your body that you could be seeing, okay? In order to see the best results, you need to have a solid program that is periodized over time that you're following for a solid 6 to 12 weeks, okay? And that's going to allow you to get stronger in the movements. That's how you build muscle and really change your body. We've taken so many clients, we have clients that get on strategy calls with us and they're like, well, I really like the workouts that I'm currently doing, so can I stick with those? And we always say, sure, of course you can. But inevitably with almost everyone, we get to a point where we're like, okay, the next step for you really is getting consistency in that training program. And so when we get someone on a consistent training program that is the same program, the same week-long program, multiple weeks in a row, that's when you can see results, okay? Because what you're doing, when you're doing something different every single week, you can't progress, right? But when you have the same Monday to Sunday program, right? Not saying you work out every day, just saying the same week of program, and you repeat that the next week, and you repeat that the next week for about 6 to 12 weeks, that is when you can get stronger in those movements. You can track your weights. You can watch yourself get better because you're not mixing it up every single week, right? And so the way we do it in Moxie is we adjust your sets and reps throughout the program so that it encourages you to lift heavier weights and get stronger. And then you go back and you'll do maybe the same sets and reps that you did in the beginning, later in the program. And ideally, you'll be lifting heavier weights. And that is proof right there that you're building muscle, getting stronger. Okay. Think about it like if you're training for a race, right? We can all agree that if you wanted to train for a 5K, a 10K, a marathon, what do? You run, right? You increase your running speed or your distance and you can see that progress. Same thing applies when you're lifting. You need to lift consistently with the same program in order to see that progress, okay? Then after a set amount of time, then you change it as opposed to changing it every single week or two, okay? There's no such thing as quote unquote confusing your muscles. It's not a thing, okay? So take good notes. The other tip here is take good notes on the weights you use and the reps you lift so you can try to beat that in the future. Our Moxie clients use an app. We have a client only app and there's a spot in there for notes on how much weight you lifted, how many reps you did, how many sets you did. And the next time you do that same exercise, you can look back at what you did before and you can try to beat that. Like, okay, I lifted 20s last week. I'm going to try for 22 and a halves or 25s this week. Okay. Super, super important. All right. Next mistake, too much HIIT or aerobic style classes. And I know you guys don't want to hear this one. Okay. But one of the biggest mistakes that women over 40 are making when they're trying to lose weight is too much high intensity cardio. Okay. As we start to get close to menopause, our progesterone levels are going to start declining. Okay. Estrogen is going to fluctuate a bit as well, often putting people into a more estrogen dominant state. When progesterone is low, estrogen is high. In relation to each other, you're going to be estrogen dominant. And then as you get closer to menopause and into menopause, estrogen will drop off as well. So these sex hormones are kind of like a protective mechanism in our bodies against stress. And so that's why our bodies handle stress so much better when we were younger. Okay. You might have been able to push harder, cut calories a little lower, do more cardio, just be a little more quote unquote hardcore when you're younger and your body actually responded. Whereas now when you're over 40, you do those things And oftentimes your body responds negatively. How many of you guys, but I almost said by the raise of hands, but we're not in a group setting. How many of you guys have done those things, cut calories more, pushed harder on your cardio, and your weight's actually gone up? Okay, that's super, super common. It happens to me as well. And too much HIIT, so too long of sessions or doing it too often, can actually chronically elevate your cortisol levels, which is going to cause a cascade of negative hormonal effects. Okay, same thing with going to a lot of spin classes or F45 or CrossFit, Orange Theory, things like this daily. You're not building in enough recovery, and your cortisol is going to stay high. Okay, so when cortisol is high, it does make fat loss harder because of the other hormonal effects that come with high cortisol. Okay, it's going to affect your thyroid levels. Thyroid is directly linked to your metabolism. So when your thyroid is off, your metabolism is going to be sluggish. So you might think you're in a calorie deficit when you're really not, because your metabolism has slowed down a bit. Okay, it can also affect your insulin and blood sugar levels as well, which will also affect your rate of weight loss and metabolism. So all these things can be solved with less cardio. Okay, and I know it's different than what you've done before. Okay, but cut out the high intensity stuff, you guys. You can still lift hard and heavy, but I'm talking cut out the circuits, the burpees, the jump rope, into the burpees, into the squat jumps, into the running on the treadmill, into the squats, and calling that a cardio / lifting session. Okay, it's not helping you, I promise. Go back to walking, getting your steps in, maybe some moderate cardio if needed, but cutting it back to none will give you a good baseline. And I know it's scary. We guide women through this in my coaching program all the time. So if you need help with this, just reach out on social and let me know. But this is a big, big mistake that a lot of women are making. Okay. Next mistake women over 40 are making, this is number 4, with when they have goals of fat loss, is cutting calories too low. And this one is the same as the previous for all the same reasons. Okay. Too low of calories is a stress on the body. All right. You need to be in a calorie deficit, but you really want to find that place where you're in a deficit and you're seeing slow, maintainable results, but you're not in such a steep deficit that your body is reacting negatively with high stress, lowered thyroid levels, lower metabolism, things like that. So in my elite coaching program, we follow our Moxie metabolic reboot system. You may have heard me talk about that. And this is really just a whole approach to holistic fat loss that allows you to eat as much as you possibly can while still seeing the results that you want to see. So this also allows us room to make adjustments because, guys, your body's going to adjust to whatever you're doing. All right. So if you cut calories super low, your body's going to adjust to that, and you kind of have no room to make changes or more drops in the future. Okay. So our coaches, we love to start clients on higher calories and only adjust them when we need to, because this is actually going to lengthen out that fat loss life cycle and allow you to see results longer. Okay, you cut calories too big, you do too big of drops, all of a sudden you're in this place where you're not seeing results and there's really nothing you can do besides take a break, okay, and move back to maintenance for a little bit. Another reason why low calories are not good, they're a mistake, is because you're less likely to be consistent, okay? There's really no such thing as starvation mode. Okay, there's really not. People do die of starvation, right? If there was a thing of, starvation mode where your body hung on to fat when you were eating too low of calories, then there've been studies, not on people dying, but there've been studies on this that show that there's really no such thing as quote unquote starvation mode. The big thing that is usually happening when people are eating low calorie and not seeing results is because human nature, guys, you can't be consistent with super low calories for a long period of time. For example, let's say you have a super low calorie target, like 1100 or something. Let's say that you're binging 3 days out of 7, your average over the week might end up being right about your maintenance calories because you're binging and you're not sticking to that 1100 calories, okay? No one can do that. It's not, I don't want to say it's not possible, but it's super, super hard and not healthy to stick to low calories for a long period of time. But if you work on consistently, let's say for this example, 15 to 1600 calories, and you can actually be consistent there, your intake is going to be lower than aiming for a super low calorie amount, but binging half the time. Does that make sense? So, all in all, to say, one of the biggest mistakes I see from women over 40 trying to lose weight is trying to stick to too low of calories. They can't be consistent with it, and it causes too much of a stress on the body that hormones will downregulate because of that. Okay. The last mistake I am seeing so often, and this is not just women over 40, this is everyone in general, is too many BLTs. You guys have probably heard me talk about BLTs. What are they? They stand for bacon, no. I almost said it stands for bacon, lettuce, and tomato, but no, it does not. It stands for bites, licks, and tastes, okay? Not bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwiches, bites, licks, and tastes. And they are the mindless nibbles, the munching that you do throughout the day that does nothing to satisfy or satiate you, but they really do add up, you guys. The 25 calorie candies, the mints, the licking the peanut butter off the knife when you're making your kids' peanut butter sandwich, the sampling of dinner before you sit down for a full meal of dinner, all those things can easily add up to hundreds of calories a day. And if you're doing that regularly, it can so easily take you out of a deficit. So if you're in a deficit or you think you're in a deficit and you're not seeing results, I want you to be honest with yourself and say, do I have too many BLTs? Because that could easily be putting me closer to maintenance calories than I think. Or if you're in maintenance and you're gaining and you're not really sure why, this could be putting you into a calorie surplus. So is it realistic to say no BLTs ever? No, I don't think it is. Again, if you would have talked to me 8 to 10 years ago, yeah, I probably would have said no BLTs, but that's not real life. Okay. It's not really realistic to think you won't ever have a taste of something. Okay. I just want you to be aware. Okay. Just be aware of how many BLTs you're having. If it's something that you struggle with, there's some techniques you can use to kind of just bring awareness to it. Maybe use little Post-its around the places you have BLTs, whether that's by your sink, in your pantry, by your fridge, by your stove, anywhere like that. Put a little Post-it, say no BLTs, or something on there. Maybe you could put an alarm on your phone every hour to just check in, like, did you have any BLTs the last hour? No, I didn't. Yay, a little mini celebration, a little dopamine hit because you kept that promise to yourself the last hour. Maybe paper towels by the sink so that you can wipe off the food from the knife or the spoon before eating it, before you put it in the sink. These are just little ideas to bring awareness around a negative BLT habit. Okay, so I hope that these helped you guys. Those are my top 5 mistakes women over 40 are making when they're trying to lose weight. So we had not getting enough protein, mixing up your workouts too often, too much HIIT or aerobic style classes, too low of calories, and BLTs. So I hope these helped you guys. Also, with the new year, I want to bring more awareness to the podcast. And so I'm asking you, I have one ask of you today. If you will leave a review, in about a month, I am going to choose one winner who left a review to win $100 cash. So hopefully that is incentive to you. If you can, just whatever platform you're listening on, just hit the button that says leave a review and, type in your honest review of what you've gotten from my podcast. It can be as short or as long as you want. If you enjoy it, I'd love a 5-star review if possible. But yeah, I'll be drawing probably sometime mid-February for a $100 cash prize winner. And yeah, I'd love to help me get out the word of the podcast, help more people, bring awareness around fat loss techniques for women over 40. Anyway, hope that helped you guys, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.